Hello, my name is Stacy Brooke and I am the founder and chief advisor at College Essay Advisors, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the Coalition application essay questions. Now, most of you are probably asking yourselves, what is the Coalition application? And first, I'll tell you a little bit about what that is and what it means for you. So, the Coalition, whose full name is the Coalition for Access, Affordability, and Success, is a group of about 80 schools who came together to provide an alternative to the Common Application, which has been the dominant application in the admissions space for many years. And the Coalition's mission, as they stated, is to increase access for students and to give them just a different way to apply. And they plan on rolling out some new resources, which we will be covering in future videos and explaining as they are released. But what we do know right now about the Coalition application is that their essay questions are available. So we are going to go through those one by one and tell you how they relate to some of the brainstorming you've probably already been doing for your Common Application personal statement. Okay, so the biggest thing you're going to want to know about the Coalition prompts is that they are very, very similar in a lot of ways to the prompts that have been issued by the Common Application. So fear not if you have already brainstormed and decided upon a topic for your Common App essay. Very, very likely it's going to be transferable to the Coalition app essay prompts, and you're going to be in good shape. So hallelujah. Okay, so we're going to go through the prompts for the Coalition one by one, and we're also going to talk about how each potentially relates to the Common App prompts, just so you see where the natural overlap occurs. So let's talk about Coalition app prompt number 1. So that prompt reads, tell a story from your life describing an experience that either demonstrates your character or helped to shape it. So this is a very broad essay prompt, and it's going to encompass many different experiences. The main things that you're going to try and get at with this particular prompt, involve your character, your personality traits, something that defines you. And to be quite honest, any essay that you write for admissions that is a personal statement is going to be gunning for those things anyway. So if you have a particular experience that you want to highlight, this is going to be the prompt that you're going to want to use that experience for. So some things you might want to start thinking about in addressing this prompt are, what are the characteristics that form the foundation of your personality? If your friends used adjectives to describe you, what would they say about you and how might you be able to represent that in an essay? Are you funny? Are you resilient? Are you, are you introspective? Are you generous? These are things that through very specific experiences, you will be able to showcase for admissions. So for example, maybe your experience on the floor at a science fair and how you just, no matter what you do, can't stop talking to people is a way to showcase both your interests and also your gregarious personality. And maybe that's an experience that you can use to highlight some of these qualities an admissions officer might not know about if they don't meet you or they don't read your essay. One thing to keep in mind with this prompt is, and I've sort of alluded to this already, but they do ask you to describe an experience. So just make sure whatever it is that you focus on related to your personality, that there is one event or occurrence that you're homing in on. In terms of how this relates to the Common Application essay prompts, it's very, very similar to Common Application prompt number 1, which asks you to describe your background or talent or interest. And as long as you can, again, relate those things back to a specific experience, you should be able to take whatever Common App essay you have written in response to that prompt and flip it for the Coalition. So now the Coalition prompt number 2 reads, describe a time when you made a meaningful contribution to others in which the greater good was your focus. Discuss the challenges and rewards of making your contribution. Now, this question is representative of what we believe to be a general trend in admissions, where I think admissions officers are looking to see that students and applicants care about their surroundings, care about their communities, that they're not just focused on themselves and their own achievements, but how they give back. And this is a great opportunity for you to show those things to admissions. So the main things you want to keep in mind when approaching this prompt are sincerity and originality. There are plenty of essays submitted to admissions that have to deal with service and contributions to the community, and you want to make sure that yours stands out from the crowd and that it really says something about you, in addition to the things that you're trying to accomplish for the greater good. And the way that you can accomplish this is through details. You want to give very specific anecdotes about your experiences, maybe zone in on some much smaller piece of your service experience instead of trying to encapsulate the entire essence of what you were trying to do by organizing your clothing drive or taking a trip to help build houses for Habitat for Humanity. Is there something within those experiences that can showcase more of your motivations and the reasons behind you doing the kind of service work that you're doing? Can you describe the real value of those experiences, both to the community and to yourself and your growth? And can you help an admissions officer see how your caring can translate from that experience to their campus and their community? So in terms of how this relates to the Common App and their prompts for this year, there is a prompt number 4 for the Common App that asks about a problem you've solved or a problem you'd like to solve, and service efforts certainly address problems in the world that either you are trying to solve currently or ones that you would like to solve in the future. So this definitely can find a fit there in terms of bringing something from the Common App over to the Coalition. Okay, so let's take a look at Coalition prompt number 3, which reads, has there been a time when you've had a long cherished or accepted belief challenged? How did you respond? How did the challenge affect your beliefs? So this is an amazing prompt in that it sort of sets you up for an extraordinary amount of introspection. It asks you to consider when something that you've believed, be it something that has been sort of deeply ingrained just based on your environment and surroundings and societal norms, or something that you've been taught by your parents, or something that you've actively gone out and pursued, to sort of incorporate it as part of your own personal value system. When has something shaken that up or caused you to take another look at these things that, that you've held to be true for so long? And that does require some honesty and introspection that sort of innately taps into a really sincere place inside an applicant. So that's what makes this, I think, a really interesting question to answer. So maybe you were once put in a position where a philosophical question was thrown out in a forum and you realized that you don't actually believe the things your friends believe, even though you've sort of never considered the subject matter in that particular way before. Maybe you don't agree with your parents in terms of how your cultural heritage should be interpreted in the modern day. There are a bunch of different directions you can go in terms of how you talk about the things that you have known to be true, and how you have had to rethink those things. Try to steer away from issues that might be controversial for people. You don't want inherent personal bias, recognized or unrecognized, to get in the way of an honest assessment of your application. So how does this prompt relate to the Common App prompts? And the answer is the Coalition App prompt number 3 almost exactly relates to the Common App prompt number 3, with just a slight little twist. So the Coalition prompt, as we just discussed, relates to when a belief or idea of yours was challenged. The Common App prompt talks about a time where you challenged a belief or idea. So both of these prompts ask you to address a situation in which your beliefs were not the same as those of other people, and how you dealt with that difference, and what it meant for you and your belief system moving forward. Okay, so prompt number 4 for the Coalition application reads like this. What is the hardest part of being a teenager now? What is the best part? What advice would you give a younger sibling or friend, assuming they would listen to you? So think about your life. And one exercise that we like to recommend for questions like this is for students to list the things they love. What about your life is awesome? What's something that you enjoy about being a teenager, maybe that others would not expect? And what are some misconceptions about being a teenager that maybe you can help clarify or expand upon? If you could go back in time, is there something that you would do over again? And that sort of ties into the advice for a friend or a sibling piece of the prompt is, now that you know what you know, what are your reflections on the way things have transpired in your life thus far? Also, what are some of the challenges that you think are unique to your age group, your current situation? What unique perspective do you have right now as the person you are, sitting right there in this chair watching this video? What can you tell us about hardship that other people can't tell us? And can you instill in that message some kind of hope or explain to us the way that you make the best out of a bad situation? So how does this question relate to the Common Application? It certainly can relate to prompt number 1, which we already discussed, that talks about your background, your interests, your talents. You're discussing your teenage life, what's good about it, what's bad about it. Those things are certainly going to come up. So it's very likely that something you've written for prompt number 1 might also be applicable for Common App prompt number 1, might also be applicable for this prompt for the coalition. The other one that I think is almost more directly related is Common App prompt number 5, which talks about your transition from childhood to adulthood and an event or accomplishment that sort of marked that transition. In talking about teenagehood and in things that you would advise to other people that are younger than you, there's a good chance you're going to be talking about the things you've learned in that transition. And the thing that comes between childhood and adulthood is teenagehood. So it does sort of seem to be a natural fit, and it's definitely something you should consider if you have already written or brainstormed or were thinking about approaching Common App prompt number 5. Okay, and we finally reached Coalition App prompt number 5, which is dun, 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 topic of your choice. So many people are going to be excited about the reintroduction of topic of your choice as an option for the personal statement. It's something that used to exist on the Common App and then went away a couple of years ago, and people lamented its disappearance, but it is back in the Coalition App, and it is a gift to many people. Certainly, it makes the transition of a Common App personal statement to the Coalition application a lot easier. Anything you write for the Common application is now going to be appropriate for the Coalition App, which is very smart of them, because it's gonna make sort of people's introduction to this new platform a lot more seamless. And I think it's just gonna sort of alleviate a little bit of stress for those who didn't know what was coming for the Coalition App, and now you know that choice is coming. The topic of your choice isn't necessarily the best place to start if you don't have a topic or a subject in mind. Sometimes that broadness overwhelms people, and in terms of brainstorming, it might just be nice to have a little more direction. And for that, you can look to the other prompts, both for the Coalition App and for the Common App essay, since all of those are going to be valid prompts and topics for you to use for the coalition. As it relates to the Common Application, topic of your choice clearly encompasses all of those topics. One thing that topic of your choice does not encompass, however, at least not in this case, are topics that are not related to you. And this probably doesn't need to be said, but we're going to say it. You should write about yourself. You shouldn't write about your aunt or your grandma or hot dogs, even though I would read your essay about hot dogs, but not for admissions. So anything that helps admissions see a different side of you, understand what it would be like to sit in a room with you and have a conversation, anything that gives them a little bit more insight into what makes you tick, what your passions are, what your goals are, and anything that isn't represented anywhere else on the application that you would like admissions to know, this is the place to put it, and you have free reign. Thank you, Coalition. So those are the basic details regarding the Coalition apps for 2016-2017. These are the first essay topics the Coalition has ever thrown at us. We're super fond of them. We're really excited to see what students come up with and to help people really dig into these new prompts. And and more challenges from the coalition are to come. So stay tuned. Definitely subscribe to our channel. As more resources from the coalition are released, we're definitely going to be coming back and telling you a little bit more about what we think about how to approach these new challenges. And if you want to review we have videos for the Common App essays, prompts number 1 through 5, and as we just discussed, all of those prompts are now totally valuable and can be used for the Coalition app. So if you want some more ideas about what to write about, check out the links below, subscribe to our channel. We are going to give you more information, and you should be here to get it. So we will see you soon.